unbelievable in this modern age. Matt Harvey has had one of the greatest rookie years a pitcher could ever have, but his team's out of playoff contention, which could really hurt him. And then you have Adam Wainwright, who is one of the leaders in the NL in wins, and for a team that's not only going to make the playoffs, but has been competing back and forth with the Pirates for the best league record. So those three guys will be battling it out for the Cy Young, and right now it's a coin flip. I have no idea who'll win that one. If I had to guess, I would say Matt Harvey, especially if he can get a few more wins under his belt before they shut him down for the year. But that is going to be a tough one, and it wouldn't surprise me or offend me if any of them won that particular one. Before we play our interview, I just want to talk about something that was bugging me a little bit, and it just made me think of it the other day. I was reading The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Yes, I'm a 27-year-old who reads. Shocker. Specifically, I was reading the portion Dante's Inferno.
Because here at Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
And it got me thinking, is preseason in the NFL not the seventh circle of hell? It's insidious. I mean, think about it. We're all so desperate for real football, not college, and not after hearing all offseason about all the moves our teams have made. We're just so desperate for real football that we're all obligated to watch these god-awful preseason football games. But they're awful. We hate watching them. Nobody enjoys it. And yet, we watch it. I was watching the Bears' first preseason game against the Panthers. I watched the entire game. Even after Jay Cutler, on his first pass, threw an interception. Even after the Panthers were trouncing the Bears. And even after every person who I even know about, which would include all 53 starters, or who will eventually be all 53 starters, even once they were all out, I was still watching this travesty of a competition. And there's a lot of things that could be done to make preseason better. But here's just some of my tips. First of all, stop charging full price. It is insulting that anybody should have to pay full price for a preseason ticket. So $10 a ticket, festival seating. First come, first serve. You pay your $10, you get in, and you sit wherever you want. That would be great for families, because taking a family to a sporting event is god-awfully expensive. It's pretty much cost prohibitive at this day of age. The parking can cost you up to $25 to $35. You get in. The tickets can cost you hundreds of dollars depending on where you sit. $8 for a beer, $4.50 for a hot dog, $5.50 for a burger. The prices add up so much. And to charge those same things for preseason football, where we're forced to watch slack-jawed Division III walk-ons who are trying to fulfill some deluded dream of making an NFL roster and pretend that this is in the spirit of competition, it pisses me off. So, first, let's drop the price. $10 a ticket, open seating. No assigned seating. Just let anybody sit, first come, first serve. You want to get there early for a preseason game? God bless you. You get first choice of seats. Second of all, for season ticket holders, stop charging them for their tickets. They're giving you enough of their money. You give them their tickets for free. Preseason, free. Let them do with it what they want to. And it's still festival seating. They are not guaranteed their seats on preseason because you're giving it to them for free. Another thing that we should do, more entertainment. And I've talked about this on this show before. But I was watching the Bears-Panthers game. You know what their halftime entertainment was? A guy throwing frisbees to his dogs. Yeah, I learned how to do that with my dog when I was 4. Let's not pretend that's a halftime show. Get a rock band in there. For every preseason game, the hosting team should have a local band play. I know here in Chicago, there are a lot of great local talents, and a lot of them would be thrilled to play at Soldier Field for a big crowd like that. I'm sure you can find them. And places like New York, all the Texas teams, Florida, there's bands everywhere. And it shouldn't be too hard to get a live act to play for the crowd there. And let's get some more interaction between the fans and players going. That's all I'm saying. Make it a more family-friendly event. Make it more entertaining. Because as long as you're forcing us to watch, at least try to make it worth it. And my final thought on this, make it 2 games. Who are we kidding with 4 games? You need 1 game to assess your back of the roster talent and 1 game to get your starters ready for the season. That's it. So, From now on, let's just put preseason in perspective, and if we're going to watch, make it entertaining, at least to the best of your ability. For those of you just joining us, this is Chris Stanton for the CSBS, and joining us right now is Josh Liss. Josh Liss is the sports director and morning anchor for Radio 780 WBBM. Josh, thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Appreciate it, but
as a sports director and morning anchor, can you just quickly explain some of the responsibilities you have at WBBM?
Well, if I could explain such a complicated title to you, it really would take all day. No, I'm just messing around with you. It's really not that complicated. You know, we do sports 15 and 45 past the hour. All of our sports anchors do at all news, WBBM, 780 and 105.9 FM in Chicago. 15 and 45 updates. We do headlines at the bottom of the hour, too. Breaking news, breaking sports news. So I've been working morning drive, coming up on 15 years now, and I've been in charge of the staff as a director of a staff of the 5 or 6 guys who get part-time in the mix. Work Sunday nights. All that time, so I'm responsible for schedules, assignments, making sure the guys are all looking in the right direction for what might be next in the world of sports news. That's our responsibility, not just to get it first or to really blast it out there to the masses, but to get it right. And that's what sort of sets us apart. And nice to be the sports director of BBM, again, for coming up on 15 years.
You just said you've been in there for about 15 years. How has the impact of social media really affected your job and how you get content delivered to people?
Well, the internet obviously has been the biggest difference-making sort of invention in our modern times, maybe in all of our lives. Look back, it's the way information can be shared and go both ways digitally. And certainly, what comes to mind is something like Twitter, which has become such a resource for someone like myself in terms of keeping up with athletes who are saying things that might be making news, tracking golf tournaments like PGA Championship when it might not be on television, and keeping up with baseball lineups. It used to be you'd have to call a ballpark or hope that a certain wire service came into your newsroom, and now it all comes at you rapid fire, and you either keep up or you get left behind. So it's an interesting contrast. We've always been known for being the first on the air with information and getting it right. And here with the internet, it's sort of a different challenge to keep up with. So we're not just keeping up with things, social media like Twitter and Facebook, things like that where news might be happening with sports newsmakers, athletes, coaches, and team executives and stuff. But we're also a part of that because people have obviously come to expect to find information from reliable sources like us. And so it's interesting to be on both parts of that. It certainly has changed what we do on a day-to-day basis.
How do you balance that responsibility with social media coming primarily from the source, and it's obviously a very biased, one-sided opinion, whereas you, a news station, has to have an objective viewpoint? How do you balance those two?
For sure, it goes to the root of how you analyze really any story. Who said it, and if someone popular said it, they said it. So you have to credit the person who said it. You have to do your background to follow up on things. You can't just put rumors or slanderous sort of statements on the air. You need to have the same journalistic rules followed in order to get that on the air, here at a major market, CBS-owned radio station, or else there's going to be trouble down the line. You want to keep things above board. There's a lot of mudslinging that goes on, not just on Twitter, but online all the time. We're just trying to keep up with the news and the information. And when things are cloudy and we're not sure if it belongs on the air or not, we're not going to repeat it unless it becomes something that's fact-checked. And checking your facts is surely journalism 101, and we still take pride in that. Sort of as root against what we do.
This is Chris Stanton for the CSBS. With us is Josh Liss. Josh, with obviously the big story coming up in Chicago now is the Bears season starting up. Obviously, baseball fans are probably pretty fed up with the baseball season, given that the Sox and Cubs aren't very good this year. What is your... Yeah. So what is your...
everyone's like for the Bears, right?
Oh, yeah. So what's your objective outlook for the Bears season?
You got a new head coach. You got a second-year general manager starting to put his guys in certain roles. It's an enormous transition period them on defense are back. Will Trestman have an impact in terms of getting the offense straightened out? You expect an older defense, maybe with some younger guys popping in here or there, to not maybe be as good as they were a year ago under Lovie Smith, the more defensive-focused coach. But if that defense can hold its own, and an offensive-minded NFL these days is about what a lot of teams are hoping for, the Bears defense can just hold its own, and Trestman's offense can just put up enough points. It doesn't have to run on all cylinders every game, because you know how the level of competition is in the NFL. Once you get about a quarter or halfway into the season, if you're in the top half of the league, you can really set your sights on some of those lower dogs and expect to knock them out if you can score, say, 2 or 3 touchdowns. Can the Bears put 20 points on the board game? That's got to be Mark Trestman's magic number. Now, he may not be thinking about it like that, but the stats will tell you that that's what held back the Bears for 9 years under Lovie Smith. They didn't score enough. So it's the trick that all the fans wanted the team to use. Pull an offensive-minded coach out of your bag, get rid of this defensive-minded philosophy, and it's like Dick Buckus, Bears Hall of Fame great, number retired, great linebacker, was one of a kind. Even he was asked recently, is this going to work? The Bears rolled an offensive coach for the first time, and Buckus' response was, it's probably about time.
Well, when it's coming from him, you know it's about time. So, speaking of the Bears and putting up points, that obviously starts with Jay Cutler. And I found it very interesting that Phil Emery says he's not renegotiating any contracts this year, setting up kind of a Joe Flacco situation. How do you think that's going to work out with Cutler going forward this year?
Well, Flacco ended up winning the Super Bowl and getting a huge payoff when he could have walked. Then again, Baltimore could have made him a franchise player. Kept him anyway. So the Bears won't lose Jay Cutler if they don't have a contract with him at the end of the season. There are rules in place where the team can make another franchise player, pay him an average of the top number of players at his position over the last few years. Those are big, big dollars. He might be upset because he thinks he can try to get a little richer on the free agent open market. But the Bears control Jay Cutler. That's football rules allow teams to do that. So if no fan should be worried that the club is going to lose him. Although I think in the back of a lot of fans' minds, your question is legit because whether you know about that rule or not, the franchise players hanging on to a paying the average top guy's position, even if they're on the deal, you bring him back. Cutler's demeanor has always been perceived as on edge. Is he happy? Is he not happy? Should we even worry about him being happy? And I think an unhappy Jay Cutler might not sit well with Bears fans, or even the perception that Jay's unhappy might not sit well, regardless if they win it all or not. Now, if he falls on his face in Mark Trestman's new system and just can't hack it, and it's a disaster, and they go 7-9 or 6-10, or shoot, maybe even 8-8 in this playoffs, then there might be a lot of room to speculate that the Bears are ready to move forward with a rookie quarterback. The trend is you draft one high, you plug them in, and maybe that is the way they turn the page at quarterback. But I don't think there's any worry that the Bears are going to lose Jay Cutler. He's theirs beyond this season, regardless if there's an extension or not. So, smart football management style by Phil Emery.
All right, we're getting towards the end of our time here, so I'm just going to ask you real quickly. We do a segment every week here called Calling Out the BS, where we look at issues in sports and we just call them out if they're sitting bad with us or something we don't really like. Is there something that's been happening in sports that you'd like to call out right now?
Fans are way too obsessed with statistics, and I mean records, and fans are way too obsessed with the Baseball Hall of Fame. It doesn't mean anything in my mind. It is certainly a shrine to the heroes that played the game, and it's great, and there should be one with all the great players in it, but the idea that someone's not deserving of a first ballot Hall of Fame choice, and maybe he'll get in on the down the road on a later ballot when there's not much of a competition among eligible classmates that year. I'm fed up with that. I'm tired of fans worrying about the all-time records. Judge these players for what they are today. So when Alex Rodriguez